Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to here at Swoosh English, our PTE live lessons. Today we are looking at week 4, lesson 16, writing. My name is Scott, and I am going to be your host and teacher today. It's very nice to see everyone. So let's have a look and see who's here is today. We have Ajit. Hello, Ajit. How are you today?
Hello.
Hi, Ajit. How are you today?
Hey, hi, how are you doing? I'm good. How are
I'm
you
f-
doing?
I am fine, thanks. I'm a great day here. So, how have you been? What did you do at the weekend? Anything fun? Anything exciting?
No, I was at home. Didn't do much.
Yeah, okay. Well, say myself, it was a very boring weekend. Did you do much studying with PTE?
Yeah, I was looking for trying to schedule my exam for
Mm.
PTE.
Have you got a date set for your new PTE sitting?
Maybe after 2 weeks, I'm gonna give my exam.
Oh, 2 weeks. You feeling ready to go again?
Let's see.
All right, let's see.
I'm
Well,
confident.
oh, that's good. If you're confident, then I'm confident you're going to pass as well and get that 79 plus. Confidence is great. All right, Ajay. Well, it's nice to see you again today. And anyone else who's watching on Facebook and YouTube, welcome to the lesson. Please do your best to follow along and get your most out of today's lesson, which is going to be a writing lesson. Okay, Ajay, you've introduced yourself. I don't need you to introduce yourself again. That is perfectly fine. So let me just think. So Ajit, have you been doing anything else PTE related since Friday? Have you had any practice, anything you've been focusing on, any new questions you might have, anything you found difficult or perplexing?
Yeah, I went through reading again
Mm-hmm.
and reading reorder paragraph. I'm again finding it really difficult. I went through YouTube's and I didn't found Swoosh English the video
Oh, the
link over
video,
there.
is it not uploaded yet? Okay, let me
No.
talk to the people who upload the videos as part of Swoosh, and I will tell them to get that to you as a matter of urgency so that you can use that to study, hopefully. Are you using the unscored mock prompts that we have as part of the package that you have?
I don't see that package
No,
even.
okay.
We don't
Let
have.
me let me also get in touch about with our course creators and content developers, and we can put that available for you, and they can message you as soon as possible if you're needing to use those. Because reorder paragraphs is obviously, of course, very, very useful for yourself. The lesson and the material will be very, very useful for you in the meantime. Okay, let me get on that to you. So reorder paragraphs, you're still finding fairly difficult. Anything else that you have in terms of what you're practicing, what you really want to refine before the day of your PTE exam?
Yeah, still reading, fill in the blanks and
Mm-hmm.
fill in the blanks writing. The both even that is even difficult. Uh, I even need guidance over that too. But uh, the most uh, the most difficult portion I found is reorder. But the reading overall I found difficult.
Okay, okay. Well, the good news is that tomorrow's reading lesson will be on fill in the blanks. And the following week will be in reading and writing fill in the blanks. So if you attend the reading lessons tomorrow and the following Tuesday, then you will get some practice with both of those sections before your test. So make sure that you attend that for your own convenience. Okay.
Yep.
Anything
Okay.
else you have? Anything you think you feel like you've improved upon recently? Anything that you think that
Yeah.
once was very difficult to you and now you're finding it more clear about how to approach it?
Yeah, especially listening. Listening, I'm finding like multiple choice, single answer and multiple answer. That too was really difficult for me. But once I learned through your course and through your tutorial, I have much more confidence of solving those questions
Mm.
in in correct summary, highlight incorrect summary. That was even tougher. Now I find it easier.
Great.
I
And
have
that
gained
was
much confidence.
Great. And that was with Una. She's a great listening teacher. She's done a fantastic job. Well, that's great. We're very happy to know that you have found some of this useful information and that the techniques that we have derived have helped you. So yeah, keep coming to the lessons in the meantime. Where obviously every class is going to focus on a different PTE task. So throughout the 10 weeks, you'll have practiced every single prompt a multitude of times. And obviously we're going to approach every prompt in a different way so that you can obviously improve your technique as well as your strategies as well. All right. Well, actually, that's great. I'm happy to know that you've come on pretty well. So today we're going to look at write essay as part of our video class today. So I didn't think, did you come to the week 1 write essay class on week 2? It was week 2, sorry. Did you come to that class?
No, I
It
didn't
doesn't
attend
matter.
this class.
That's okay. It doesn't matter. It is quite important though that for the sake of that class, we were actually studying how to write introduction. And today's class, we're going to focus on how to write body paragraphs, but it is obviously important to combine those two ideas together. So today I'm going to change around the order a little bit. So instead of doing a review of week 1, we're going to just do a bit of the lesson for week 1. So today's class will combine elements of both lessons together so that you will get a chance to write an introduction and some main body paragraphs today as part of the class. So that's what we're going to do. Review of week 1 will be just practicing some paragraph writing activities in terms of the introduction and the main body. So obviously we're going to learn a bit about write essay 2 and obviously how to write body paragraphs, sample with some answers, and then get some question and answer and feedback on that. So we're going to write 3/4 of a write essay prompt today. The conclusion will be the following 2 weeks. So we're going to focus on those today. How does that sound to you, Ajit?
Yeah, it sounds good.
Fantastic. Okay, well, let's get started. We got a lot to cover today. First of all, though, a brief overview on PTE writing, what is expected of the task. So as we all know, speaking and writing is combined. The time will be 77 to 93 minutes, and there are 7 different question types. So, yep, as we know, we have 2 different tasks for writing. They are summarize written text and write essay. You have 2 to 3 summarize written text prompts to do and 1 to 2 write essay prompts to do. 20 to 30 minutes for summarize written text and 20 to 40 minutes for write essay. That's a bit more information about how we divide those 2 information pieces together, but I think you're quite familiar. Anyone else watching on Facebook and YouTube, please study this information because it tells you exactly how many of each task you have to do, as well as how long you have for each of them for summarize written text and write essay. The scoring criterion is slightly different for write essay as compared to summarize written text. It's more developed. You're scored on your content, your form, development structure and coherence, grammar, vocabulary, and spelling. And each section is scored of a maximum of 3 points. Content, for example, is the most heavily weighed, up to 3 points. The other sections might be weighed for 1 or 2 points in total. Here's a sample write essay prompt. You will see something like this in the day. We are going to practice this particular prompt today, but we'll get into more information about that as the class proceeds. So, what is the task? The task is mostly an argumentative essay, but however, you will sometimes have to describe a process or an advantage-disadvantages essay. But for the most part, you're going to obviously have an argumentative essay where you have to debate your point or a single point of view, depending on the context. So Ajit, how many words do you have to write for write essay?
Up to 300 words.
Up to 300 words. What is the lower limit?
200 to 300.
200 to 300 words is your limit. What happens if you go outside the limit, less than 200 or more than 300?
You score less marks.
Yes, you will be scored less marks. You won't be scored 0. How harsh is that? Imagine writing 301 words and they say 0, no score for you. No, you will have marks taken away for your content for not actually following the instructions for that. So 200, 300 words. And how long do you have to complete this task in terms of each individual essay?
20 minutes.
20 minutes per task. Ajit, have you done any other English examinations for the sake of immigration?
No.
No.
I haven't.
You probably are aware of IELTS, for example.
Yeah, I'm aware, but I haven't given exams.
Yeah, so you have IELTS and you have Cambridge and you have TOEFL. There are so many different of these examinations. IELTS has a similar task, task 2 of the writing section is also a 200 to 300 word task Do you know how much time you have to write a 200, 300 word essay in IELTS?
No, I don't know.
You have 40 minutes. With Pearson, it's only 20 minutes. Isn't that very harsh? So you have half the time. You have half the time for PTE, which just makes it that little bit more stressful, I guess, in terms of writing a 20-minute essay, a 200, 300 word essay in 20 minutes. So it's definitely a more demanding task compared to IELTS, for example, because you have to write it in such a short amount of time. All right, so let's get into now the structural components of PTE Write Essay. So when it comes to PTE Write Essay, what ideas do you have for the suggested structure of how you would put your essay together, Ajit?
Introduction, then body, then conclusion.
So you have your
main thing we need to.
So you have your introduction, your body, and your conclusion. That's precisely it. Can we go into any more detail in terms of the body? How many parts of the body, etc.?
Body needs to have whether we are for or against the topic. If we are in for, then we need to write the 2 points, and in each points we need to give examples and conclusions.
All very relevant, yes. How many main body paragraphs should you write for PTE?
2.
2, yeah. So you have 2 in total. So the introduction is, as you mentioned a little bit, the presentation of the topic, the argument, and maybe the counter argument. Maybe you'll obviously argue both paragraphs in favor for an argument or against an argument. Make sure you read the instructions of the prompt. Sometimes they ask you to argue for one point versus the other, or maybe you can mix your arguments. And then your main body is obviously details either talking about your argument or refuting your counter argument, and then details also supporting your own point of view if necessary. And then finally your conclusion, which is restatement of your argument and your supporting claim. So Ajit, here on the left-hand side, I have a sample essay. So this essay is not in the correct order. I want you to have a look at the essay on the left-hand side and see if you can identify some of the traits which actually make up a sample essay structure. We have the introduction, main body A, main body B, and the conclusion. So let me, for the sake of simplicity for you, label these as 1, 2, 3, and 4. So have a look through the 4 paragraphs and tell me which one you think is the introduction.
4th one is the introduction.
Right. So the 4th one is the introduction. That is perfect. How do we know this is an introduction?
It is a topic sentence which paraphrase the main topic.
It paraphrases.
It is a topic sentence.
It's a topic sentence. So what does it do to serve? It serves as basically a paraphrasing of the prompt and basically gives a sentence which summarizes or brings the entire argument into focus. So that would be a sample introductory paragraph. What do we think is the first main body paragraph?
The first one
is number 1.
Yeah.
All right. So why do you think that is the first main body paragraph?
Oh, sorry. It's the 3rd one. It
is the 3rd one. Yeah. So why is it the 3rd one and not the first one?
The statement starts with connection.
Yes.
On the one hand.
We have on the one hand. So on the one hand, we suggest obviously our first point in a series of points. So obviously on the one hand is going to have something which it compares to in a contrast, and that is on the other hand. We can't begin with on the other hand. It's obviously the second point in a series of sequencers. So on the other hand, very good. And that leads with our conclusion. So we have, which starts obviously with in conclusion to start. So don't focus necessarily on the word count of this. So obviously you can see that this essay is probably quite long, 2 large main body paragraphs. I was just using this activity here to to highlight some of the structural clues which make up a PTE Write essay section, but you found those pretty well. So yep, introduction, main body A, main body B, and a paragraph through some of those cues that you picked up on. There we go. That's it in arrows. Anyone who is watching on YouTube and Facebook, or maybe if actually you need extra guidance, there's the arrows which show which paragraph is which. So how do you find Write essay? You've done it before. How do you find it?
This is a bit easier than summarize. So a summarize written text.
I do think it's an activity which is probably more common. Obviously, writing essays is more common to do than summarizing a text. But as you were saying, sorry.
No, you can proceed.
Okay, sure. What do you think makes write essay easier than summarize written text, for example?
I found this easier. It is because what to say. Because it mainly focuses on grammar and all. If that is correct, then I think we can get the score. The content is one part, but remaining other, if we get marks in remaining other section, other parts, then we can get good score in essay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think that's all very relevant. As some people say, they do more practice writing essays than condensing essays. So summarized written text can be a very new task for them, whereas write essay is something that they maybe have practiced more for, and maybe it's just more logical. But a lot of people also panic with writing essays as well. It can be a very, very difficult process for someone who doesn't know how to write an essay. There are so many components of it. All right. Well, thanks for your analysis. So we're going to look now at some introduction writing tips, some factors that we can follow in terms of strategy and tips and ideas that will allow us to write an effective introduction for PTE. So simply and concisely, an introduction should really only consist of two things. Those two things are the topic introduction and the essay outline. Some people get very confused into what goes into introduction. They might include too much information, they might write too much about something, or they might not structure it coherently. But really, if we're going to simplify it, we take these two ideas and we base our introduction based on these: a topic introduction and an essay outline overall, to keep it nice and simple. So a topic introduction is essentially the main idea of your argument summarized into one sentence. And ultimately, we can get that idea by reading the question prompt. We get the question prompt that basically tell us what we're arguing and what obviously the main topic is. But it's not as simple as that. We can't just take that topic and paste it into our essay. We have to do what's effectively known as paraphrasing the question prompt. We have to take that question prompt and we have to reword it in our own manner. So that can be quite tricky. Let's have a look at some of those techniques. So we're now going to try and see if we can identify a topic introduction in this following prompt. So Ajit, I want you to have a look at this sample prompt for PTE Write essay. And I want you to look at it and tell me, what is the main idea in this question prompt? Just for reference, obviously we're looking at the second chunk of text here, as the first chunk of text is just our instructions. So having a look at that, where is the main prompt in this question prompt?
It's basically whether we agree or disagree regarding confining animals for human entertainment.
Now, is that the main idea, or is that what we have to do?
We have to do.
Yes, that's what we have to do. So that's obviously very, very important to look, as this part describes what we have to do as part of our essay. But is there any part of this prompt which pretty much summarizes the debate or the topic that is being included as part of this essay prompt? So basically, if we have a look, I'll just make it nice and simple. If we basically just put a line through this, these are our instructions. This is what we have to do as part of our essay. The rest of it here is our topical prompt. That's it. That's our focus for our essay. So if we have a look here, can you read it for me, Ajit? What does it say?
Um, Jew, uh, Jews are incredibly found throughout the globe, but human there are lots of activities that make that treats the animal for being it cruel or inhuman.
You're trying to paraphrase it. We'll get onto the paraphrasing of it in a moment. I just wanted to highlight the question prompt here. So the question prompt is simply the focus of this question can be found usually in the first line or two. And the following is, aquarium zoos and other forms of animal confined entertainment are incredibly prevalent throughout the globe. Their operations receive a lot of backlash from those who think it to be cruel and inhumane. This first sentence or two pretty much summarizes our focus for our essay. And that is the main idea of this question prompt. So when you're reading your prompt, it's highly important to look at it and analyze what the topic is. Because then when you've analyzed it, you've identified it and analyzed it, what is the first thing then you should do when writing your introduction? So you've imagined this is your prompt that you're doing, and you've highlighted this text in red or in any other form of highlighting method. What do you then have to do once you've found that?
We need to paraphrase.
Yes, you
This.
need to paraphrase it. So you've identified the main idea. You're then going to paraphrase that effectively, and that will serve as the first half of your introduction. It is you rewording the essay focus and essay topic in your own words. This is what I recommend you do. Some people obviously start talking about the topic in a random manner, thinking about how they can add all these different ideas and words, not relevant, and actually potentially could be quite irrelevant because you haven't really focused on that focus. Or they obviously use other structural markers by starting off an essay with, this essay will talk about, this is what I think. It's all highly irrelevant. The first thing you should do in introduction is paraphrase the essay focus, which you have highlighted in your essay title. Have you done that before, Ajit?
No, I was not doing that.
So how
I
would
was
you,
writing randomly, like whatever the topic was. On the best of that, on I was writing the relevant information.
okay, well, it depends, obviously. Maybe you obviously had a different understanding about what the topic is. As long as you're still writing about, in some form, about what this question prompt says, you might get lucky and still be quite relevant. But the difference is that you obviously might start writing irrelevantly about some details. So you really want to keep it as similar to what this essay title says. After all, it is the focus, and you need to maintain yourself that you're talking about this focus overall. So even though it
Okay.
says aquarium, zoos, and other forms of animal confined entertainment, you could still write about circuses, for example. That's still quite relevant. And maybe you might think, oh, I'm talking about a lot of backlash from those who think it is cruel and inhumane. Maybe you might obviously talk about the economic repercussions of it. Well, that's not quite relevant because we're talking about it to be cruel and inhumane. So you need to make sure that you're focusing on the ideas that are being conveyed within that essay topic. So first thing I recommend is get that focus. And then once you understand what the focus is, think about how you can start paraphrasing it. So that's what we're going to do now. We're going to practice paraphrasing the question focus of this prompt. Ajit, what do you think about paraphrasing? Do you find it difficult, easy, scary?
Yeah, it's difficult.
It's very, very,
Difficult.
very.
Yeah.
And what do you think is so difficult about it exactly?
Uh, no, we cannot have like the other word synonyms really comes. It requires lots of practice and
It
knowledge.
does.
Yeah, that doesn't come right away in the mind.
Oh, no, 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 no. It does not come a lot of way. There's a lot of background
And
knowledge and that you need to obviously pull upon and then use relevantly in your task. There's basically two things that you really have to do with paraphrasing. One, as you highlighted, was thinking of synonyms of the words. So thinking of synonyms of the main content words of this text. That's highly important. Then the other thing you have to do is obviously reformulate the sentences so that obviously the idea is the same, but it's not the exact same structure. That makes effective paraphrasing. Think of similar words and reformulating the sentences, maybe obviously changing the active to the passive voice, adding in different connectors so that the meaning is still the same, but obviously you've reworded it in your own way. But we're going to focus now on synonyms. So Ajit, I'm now going to ask you to pull upon your background knowledge of synonyms. So the words I have highlighted in red include forms, animal confined, entertainment, incredibly, prevalent, globe, operations, receive, a lot of, backlash, think, cruel, and inhumane. So I'm just going to split these up because we have animal confined, so we then have entertainment, incredibly prevalent, so these are separate words, globe, operations, receive, a lot of backlash, think, cruel, and inhumane. Now, don't worry, Ajit, because obviously this class was originally set up for having many different students do this. So I was going to actually divide the words among students. I'm not going to make you do all of these words unless you are ready for that challenge, but that would take a long time. So what I'll let you do is I will let you select 3 to 4 of these words that you would like to think of synonyms for, and words obviously mean the same. Now, I don't want you picking words that you know well. So I want you to pick 2 that you think would be quite easy and maybe 2 that you think would be more difficult.
forms,
Okay, we'll take forms. So we can take 3 more.
globe,
We'll say globe.
think,
Are those your easy ones or your hard ones?
easy ones.
All right, let's see if we can get 2 hard ones now.
Now hard one.
All easy for you. Fantastic.
Backlash,
Backlash. Yeah,
backlash,
we'll take backlash. Yep. Okay, backlash.
cruel,
And cruel. All right. So we'll take those 4 words. We'll have forms, globe, backlash, and cruel. Those are your 4 words. So how quickly do you think you can come up with a list of maybe 3 to 4 synonyms per word?
maybe based on my practice, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. How long do you think it would take you to make up maybe 3 to 4 different words for globe, backlash, forms, and cruel?
Right now, I have only thought of one.
All right, cool. So if you want, I can give you 5 minutes. You can take 5 minutes. What I recommend you do first is draw upon your own knowledge at first. See if you can remember any words and apply them. Obviously, if you're finding it quite difficult, then I'll give you permission to.
Hello,
Hello, can you hear me, Ajit? Hello,
hello,
can you hear me?
hello.
Hello, Ajit, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, so I was saying there, I will give you 5 minutes to pull upon your own knowledge of those 4 words, and then obviously try and do the words that you find quite simple first, 2 to 3 synonyms, and then obviously any other words that you're finding difficult, you then have permission to look up Cambridge, for example. You can look up some definitions on the Cambridge and Oxford Dictionary or any other resource that you find. I recommend these 2 for easy access, and then pull upon some words you can use that are in direct correlation with the following words. This is a good exercise for us to build up our vocabulary bank, And of course, these words might be quite common in other essay titles. Then you have a knowledge of these synonyms, which you can then apply to other essay prompts. How does that sound, Ajit?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so I will time you for 5 minutes to pull upon some of these words, and then we'll put our synonyms together, and then you can use those to apply to your own vocab bank. Then obviously at the very end, I will go through these words and show you a list that I have made of synonyms for them.
Okay.
All right, 5
Okay.
minutes, Ajit. I'm going to turn off the camera and my microphone, but I can still hear you. So if you have any questions at any point, I will return to the classroom. How does that
Okay.
sound?
Sure.
All
Yeah.
right,
Sound good.
5 minutes, Ajit. Let me know if you have any questions.
Okay. Sure.
Thank you. And anyone who's also watching on Facebook and YouTube, you are also welcome to take part in this activity. What I want you to do is take some of the words and see if you can think of any synonyms or words that relate to the words. Write them down, and then we'll go through some of your ideas as part of the class to see how accurate you are. Once again, this is an activity which is great for your own vocabulary building, and also hopefully you will learn some terms which you can then apply to further write essay practice. Good luck, everyone. All right, Ajit, let me see
Hi.
what you've got. We'll just progress into the next screen now. I will show you an example of some synonyms I've taken down, and we'll see that you've managed to get a list of any that I have also taken down here. So here is quite a comprehensive list of some of the words which I have highlighted here in our list. So let's see. For form, we have the following words: setups, configurations, and manifestations. Did you get any of these words?
No.
No, they are quite complicated, don't worry. And I also have more time to research than you. So what words did you get for forms? Or for form, sorry.
I got varieties,
Oh, yes, we have
ways,
variety is a good word. Yes, we have variety or varieties. Good.
ways.
Ways. Yep. Anything else?
No, that's it.
What's good? That being the point is they don't have to be complicated words. They can be simple as long as they're used effectively. So we could say very easily here, aquariums, zoos, and other ways of animal confined, other varieties of animal confined entertainment. That works. Here's a few other words for you as well: setups, configurations, and manifestations as well. All right, excellent. So let's have a look now at the second word that you took down. We have globe here. So globe, we have Earth, world, and planet, for example. Did you get any of these?
Yeah, it was world and planet.
World and planet. Also Earth as well. We can say referring
Mm.
to our world, our globe, our Earth. Did you get any other words that I didn't get?
No, no.
Doesn't matter. It's synonymized very easily. So we can say throughout the Earth, throughout the world, throughout the planet, instead of what it says in the prompt itself. So fantastic. You also chose, I believe, backlash as well. So backlash, we could have reprisals, retaliation, or repercussions. Did you get anything else?
No.
No. Were you familiar with the meaning of the word backlash?
Yeah, I
Mhm.
wrote rewind,
You wrote what? Sorry?
rewind.
Rewind. Oh, so backlash doesn't actually refer to time at all, as in going back in time. Backlash is just a way of, so someone has wronged you or done something towards you, so you react back at them. So, for
Uh,
example, if someone decided to take your wallet on a subway, you might find them and beat them up or something. That's a backlash, and it's a bad example. Sorry, a terrible example, but it works. So it means when you do something against someone who has done something to you.
yeah, I got it.
So it says here, obviously, that in context, operations receive a lot of backlash. So obviously, a lot of people think that zoos and aquariums are wrong. So people fight back against the use of these zoos. So reprisal, retaliation, and repercussion would be direct synonyms for that word. And that leaves our final word that you took down was cruel, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah,
So we have savage, sadistic, and barbaric. Did you get any of these words or anything different?
yeah. I got savage.
Savage, yeah.
Yeah. I got brutal, violent,
Violent, yeah. So we have cruel can be violent as well. Yeah, it could be a synonym. Yes.
brutal.
Brutal, that's a great word. Yeah. So brutal is also a nice word for cruel. Very hard and very harsh.
That's it.
All right, good. So you actually, if you notice here that obviously cruel and inhumane are actually, these two words are actually synonyms of each other. Cruel, inhumane mean the same. So any of these following words can actually be directly synonymized. So we have savage, sadistic, barbaric, harsh, brutal, and callous. They can be synonyms of inhumane and cruel as well. So well done. Some new words there for you. All right, let's have a quick look through the list here of words for all forms. So we have, let's get the spotlight here. We have confined, constricted, restricted, cramped, and limited. Entertainment could be enjoyment, leisure, or amusement. Incredibly, an adverb, unbelievably, unimaginably, unthinkably. Prevalent, widespread, frequent, popular. Operations, actions, machinations, functions. Receive are presented with, face, or encounter, in this case. A lot of, a large amount of, a great deal of, or a fair amount of. And then we've done the rest. there's some new words that we can possibly use in our, if we ever had any words like this in Write Essay or any form of our essay. Have you any questions about these, Ajit?
No, I'm good.
No? Okay. If you like, you can screenshot the picture or even take a photograph so you can use some of these words in your own time. It's entirely up to you.
Okay, sure.
Yep, I recommend you do. It's a lot of information there.
Okay.
I heard the camera click. I know you've done it. So great. That's the first thing we can do, is we can think of synonyms for some of these words, and we can then directly input some of these words into the into basically the structure of our original prompts, and that'll be half the battle done. We could say, for example, aquarium, zoos, and other configurations of animal restricted amusements are unbelievably widespread throughout the earth. Their functions are presented with a large amount of retaliation from those who think it to be sadistic and harsh, for example. That's one thing we could do. Obviously, the prompt is still in the same form, but we've done one half and we've reworded some of the main words. So that's why the synonyms come in incredibly useful. So what we're going to do very soon, Ajit, is we're actually going to practice writing an introduction. So you've taken some of the ideas, you've taken some of those words, you can then start thinking about how you can write your own introduction using some of the words that we have synonymized. But first, let's go through some introduction writing tips. So firstly, an essay introduction effectively conveys what the essay will argue and discuss it in a concise manner. So two takeaways from this is you need to obviously effectively convey what the essay will argue. You need to have an idea about what the topic is and also what the essay is asking you to do. Is it advantages, disadvantages? Is it for and against? Is it state your points, state your own opinion? And also discuss in a concise manner. What does the word concise mean?
Concise, precise.
Yes. So it's obviously a synonym, it's precise, which obviously just means simple and efficient. So keep it simple. Keep it simple. Obviously, the more you can write complex sentences, the better. But the idea behind this is that don't start spewing words and putting them on paper and writing off and trying to sound more intelligent than you are, or writing overly complex things or going off topic. Know what you have to do and write in a nice, simple, concise manner that sticks to the essay structure. That is a surefire way for you to maximize most of your points in terms of your content. So keep it focused and keep it simple. For example, we can use some of these prompts to talk about our how we then go through our essay outline. For example, this essay will highlight the advantages and disadvantages of 1 and 2, your two topic arguments. This essay mostly agrees with argument 1 and will also discuss argument 2. And then finally, there are two important factors to consider, one being argument 1 and the other being argument 2. So here are three ideas that we can use to follow on from our topic introduction, and that is our essay outline. Basically, we effectively talk about what our essay is going to discuss. So while all three of these essay outline ideas are effective, one is better than the other two. Which one do you think is the best out of the three, Elise?
The last one?
It is. The last one would be the best. And why do you think it is the best?
It covers both the argument.
It does cover both the argument. What about in terms of the wording that's used?
It is connected.
It is connected. I'll tell you why it's better. Well, what's a big no-no for write essay or any form of academic argument? It's using personal pronouns. So you want to try and avoid using the words I or we, especially. You don't want to obviously refer to yourself in the essay, and they, etc. So they are a big no-no. You will often see in many write essay prompts that people will say, my opinion is, I think this, we think this, they think this. You really should try and not write in that style of register, because that's not academic register. It's important that you remove yourself from the argument and refer to it in a third person perspective, aka the point is, the viewpoint is, etc. So even though that these essays here, these prompts here, haven't actually included I, we, or they, the next thing you want to try and avoid doing is refer to this essay will highlight the advantages and disadvantages. While it's not strictly bad, you want to try and take away this because it's used too commonly and used too actively. If you actually read an academic text of any sort, it won't refer to this essay, this paper, this research. So while it's still good enough, and if you use it properly, you can still gain high marks, you don't really want to try and use this. Once again, it's been used here again with the essay mostly agrees with argument 1 and also discussed argument 2. This is a better way of doing it. Instead of referring to the essay, the reader knows it's an essay. You don't need to state it's an essay. There are two important factors to consider. This is just more, it's just better academic discourse. It's better academic language, which makes that better and more appropriate than the other two. So try and avoid using obviously pronouns like I, we, and they, and also use impersonal pronouns like this essay and obviously the essay in terms of the title as well. It comes to practice, but it's my recommendation for you is to use a structure like this, for example. All right, so that follows on from your main prompt. For example, aquariums and zoos, blah, 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 blah. There are two important factors to consider, one being argument 1 and the other being argument 2. That would basically serve as your introduction. That's all it needs to be, is those two sections, provided the word count is nice and long. So some more introduction writing tips. Your introduction should ideally be between about 30 to 40 words. We'll say even 50 words maximum in total. It shouldn't be that long. Most of the length should go into your main body. Formal language and structure, as we've encountered, don't use personal pronouns, don't use contractions, don't use any other form of abbreviations or informal language. It needs to be like writing an essay to your professor, for example. It needs to be nice and formal. Omit personal pronouns, I, we, etc. Remove yourself from the essay. Talk from a third person academic perspective, and also do not include any supporting examples here. You want to effectively do, I'll just highlight this a second, you want to effectively save those for the main body. There's been plenty of times where I've seen people try to discuss their main views in the introduction. I'm thinking, no, please move that down. Yes, refer to them. If we go back a slide here, refer to them in your outline. That's fine, but don't start talking about them or giving examples about what they mean. So this is fine here. Argument 1, argument 2, but don't start saying, for example, argument 1 is blah, 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 blah in your introduction. You save that for your main body. It's just proper essay structure overall. Of course, proofread and check, and do not copy the essay prompt word for word. Make sure you use synonyms, you paraphrase it, and even reformulate the sentences. And of course, ensure you understand the prompt before you begin writing. So what could potentially happen, Ajit, if you don't have a good grasp what the prompt is in terms of the focus and the instructions? What could you do?
If you understand the topic, then we can paraphrase and write that in our own sentence. But it should the content should be what the topic says.
Precisely.
We should write that in the topic.
Because if you start writing about an opinion essay for advantages and disadvantages, you're not writing relevantly. If you start writing about some of the words in the main topic focus, but not them all, you're also writing irrelevantly. So worst case scenario is you get 0 because you haven't written about the topic as it is. Best case is obviously you will lose some marks for relevance. That's why it's very important to write relevantly about exactly what you have to do. So never skip doing that and spending some time ensuring you understand the topic before you begin. But I think someone like you would do that incredibly well. So Ajit, are you ready to start writing an introduction for me?
Yeah.
So we're going to do an introduction prompt based on the prompt that we have previously studied. So you should have some ideas down for the synonyms. That's why you took the picture. You're now going to practice using those in a sample introduction prompt. I am going to then review your introduction based on the following information once you have written it. But we'll look at that again once you've written your introduction. So, as I said, the prompt is the exact same as we had. Aquariums, zoos, and other forms of animal-confined entertainment are incredibly prevalent throughout the globe. Their operations receive a lot of backlash from those who think it to be cruel and inhumane. Describe the advantages and disadvantages of confining animals for human entertainment. So I want you now to write an introduction for this prompt. Can you remind me about the 2 aspects you should include in your introduction?
Try to write the main idea, what the topic is saying, but it should be we should paraphrase
Mm-hmm.
the main topic, and then the 2 important factors, as you mentioned, to write whether we agree or disagree with the topic.
Now, in this essay, are you writing about agreeing and disagreeing?
Yes.
Have a look down here. What does it say you have to do?
Yeah, I mean advantages and
Yeah.
advantages and disadvantages.
I
Yeah.
had to clarify that because if you started writing about whether you purely agreed about one side or disagreed, then it's not relevant. You have to think about both sides of the debate in this essay. So you have to write 1 paragraph about disadvantages and 1 paragraph about advantages as well. But that's only for the main body. But still, you said it well. You have to paraphrase the main idea. So basically, rewrite this this essay focus in your own words, and then you have to write a short sentences talking about the advantages and disadvantages of it. So obviously you could talk about the advantages, give your 1 point you're going to discuss in your essay, and then your disadvantages, the 1 point you're also going to discuss in your essay to keep it nice and focused. So
I have one question.
yes, of course.
If the topic says like describe the advantages / or disadvantages, then we can write 2 advantages, right?
That's up to you. Yeah, that's that. If that's worded like that, then that states that you can either write one side or the other. So
Okay.
yeah, that's why attention to detail is fine. But the sake of this essay, it says advantages and disadvantages. So you need to obviously
Okay.
write 1 for each side. So how long should your introduction be? Obviously, it doesn't really matter necessarily. How long should it be?
30 to 40 words, I think.
30 to 40 words, absolute maximum 50 words in total. It wouldn't be any more than 50. So 30 to 40 words would be enough to get most of the information down. Ajay, do you have any further questions before you start writing your introduction?
No, I'm good.
All right. So how long would you like to write your introduction?
40 to 50 words.
No, how long would you like to write it in minutes?
Oh, sorry.
Oh, you're fine. Don't say 20 minutes. 4 minutes? Oh, 4 minutes. Okay, I will be nice and give you an extra minute. I will give you 5 minutes to write your introduction. Are you happy enough with 5 minutes?
Yeah.
All right, excellent. So I'll give you 5 minutes, which is pretty much the time you would probably have. You would have about 5 minutes in total to write your introduction on the day of the exam if you're going to divide everything up in terms of the average. Oh, sorry here. Let me just get that little timer up on the screen. So like last week, we had a little timer. So I'm going to set 5 minutes on this timer for yourself. I'll let you know, obviously you got that. I'll come back in 5 minutes is up. So I'm going to turn off my camera and my microphone. You're welcome though to ask some questions through it. If you've got any questions, I will be listening. Okay.
Sure.
All right.
Sure.
Ready? 5 minutes. Let's go. Anyone else who is watching on Facebook and YouTube, you are free to write your own introduction now as well, based on the ideas that I have presented. So 5 minutes to write, and then we will resume with the rest of the lesson.